Hey everybody, this is Vic's Basement Brew, and we are back. It's been a while since we've actually released a YouTube show, but we are here, as you can see, and I'm here, of course, with my erstwhile co-host. Richard is here.
Hello.
Richard, how's it going?
Good.
I got to tell a story first before I introduce our guest. This is and we are at a brewery. I'll tell you where we are when we get started, but I had a brewing accident, okay? And you can see I have a huge gash on the top of my head. It's huge. It took at least 20 stitches to close. What happened, I was brewing and I had the garage door halfway open and I had some water I had to dump and I went out and I forgot to duck and it went smash and smashed right on my head. And then that was a few days ago, and I woke up this evening, I'm here in Akuma. I don't even know how I got here. I'm here in Akuma, New Jersey, with our guests. I wound up here, and I'm going to introduce our two guests. We have Mark Matthews from 42 Freeway.
Yep, thank you for having me.
And we'll talk about, and we also have one of the best home brewers that I've ever tasted beers for, and you can see some of them here. We have Dorian Saunders from Whims Brewing, which we are here in the future site of the brewery. So Dorian, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Welcome to the Purple Palace. I also wound up in Echo, hitting my head on a garage door.
Okay. So. And you wound up here owning a brewery.
Yeah, I woke up with the keys to a brewery in my hands and the bill for the first month's rent.
Oh, well, there you go. That happens. So. First question that anyone asks a home brewer, and that's really one of the things that home brewer loves. You know, everyone, you talk to a lot of the younger ones, not the older ones like me. You talk to a lot of the younger home brewers, yeah, I'd love to open a brewery, Why? Why did you decide to open a brewery?
I love to open a brewery.
Okay.
I worked at tomfoolery for a bit, so I do have the back end experience of it somewhat there, so I wasn't coming in fully blind. I do know what goes into a lot of the manual labor of it is mostly cleaning, but there was it's one of those things where it was pretty therapeutic, and it was also one of those things where I still enjoyed it, right? So everyone knows the fun part of brewing is making the beer, sharing the beer, all that, but the fact that I could enjoy the parts that were a slog as well kind of lined up. And there's millions of other parts to this, but that's what I'd leave it at right now.
Great. Now, tell us a little bit about the location in the site. I know this is the home of the former Akuma Brewing.
Yes. Here.
So what did you find when you came in here? What are you going to change, and what have you changed so far in here?
So, former Akuma space, town square, off the White Horse Pike. I think enough people in the area, in the industry, kind of knew this was something I wanted to do. And they had told me they weren't going to be here, so I kind of jumped at the chance to jump in. I'm keeping a lot of the structure itself the same because it was a functional brewery. It did not seem like, it didn't make sense to come into a space that functioned as a brewery, tear it all the way down and start from scratch. That was somewhat of an advantage to be able to occupy the space. So really, it's just changing the aesthetic of it all, adding some of my own flair. The beer itself will be different, of course, but really just trying to transform the space so that it necessarily isn't Akuma Brewery as well, because it is the same space, right? But I want to have that differentiation as well.
Now let's go back to your homebrew days. Now I actually first met Dorian when one fall he won, I think, 3 homebrew competitions between different clubs. Within probably a 3-month period or so. I know that we had our Tri-County competition, Brew Jersey, Ocean County Homebrewers, which I'm the president of, and Monmouth County Homebrewers. My buddy Vince Feminella is the president of that. You won that competition, and that beer actually was brewed at Icarus.
Yes, it was. And they did 2. They did the one because it was a very specific contest, right? And
It was
had-
cereal
It
contest.
had to feature cereal.
Yeah.
So the winning beer was a cereal beer with a pumpkin spice cereal I used.
Okay.
And they did two versions because they knew they probably wouldn't be able to sell a pumpkin spice cereal with as big as batch as they do. So they did a standard cream ale, and then they did the pumpkin spice cream ale. And they actually just brewed the base cream ale, and Jason was kind enough to let me get a case of it.
Oh.
And it tastes fantastic.
Nice, excellent.
So wait, 2 questions. What makes you think that you first come up, where do you find a pumpkin spice cereal? And how of all the cereals, what made you think of that one?
So I love pumpkin spice flavor. I definitely appreciate the fall holiday. I'm not one of the people that hate it to hate it. And anything with pumpkin, it deserves its fair shake.
Sure.
The way I found it was probably one of the times my wife actually managed to drag me to a grocery store. And it just caught my eye. So thankfully, she pressured me to go out, and the cereal just happened to be there. And I think I bought like the end cap.
Wow, whimsical inspiration, that's fantastic.
Now, whimsical inspiration, Whims Brewing.
Yes.
Where did the name come from?
So the basis of it is I do a lot of research. I'm kind of a reserved guy, A lot of the things I tend to do, I put a lot of time and research and effort into all of it. And I really don't speak too much on it because A, I don't want to bore people, and B, it's not interesting to me because I spent so much time researching it, right? So it's funny when I do something, it appears to people that I'm just doing it randomly or on a whim, but they don't know all the hours and research I've put into it. So that's where Whims comes from. Because it seems to people, a few people knew I've been looking at this, but other than my family, it's just like, oh, they're starting a brewery? But it's been years in the making.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Now, the other contest you won, I think you won the contest where it was an ingredient contest. Actually was held at 3 Threes. I think that was part of, Eric from Fermented actually, I think, ran that contest. It was one of his.
Yes.
And I think, was that a strawberry hef?
That was a strawberry Hefeweizen,
Yeah.
yes. And that was cool because that contest was based on drafting. So we each, I think it was a snake draft, so we each had to
Okay,
pick one
yes.
ingredient as we went through. And I wound up with something goofy.
Yeah.
And they just didn't think it would work, and it was funny to see it actually win. I think it was like, I had to use malt extract, I had 120, and then I think that was it. Like, that was most of the grains I was restricted to. And I think I snagged a wheat, so I was able to bring back some body with that. But, when you talk to people that have homebrewed for so long, and they're just like, oh, you don't want malt extract anymore. It's going to
Yeah.
be syrupy. It's going to be, all those things. To win with it was really cool.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I remember, actually, I was one of the judges for that contest, and I tasted the beers, and I tasted yours. Didn't know it was yours.
Yeah.
But I said, oh, this is a good beer. And then I saw afterwards they won. I said, okay, that kind of figures because I remember the beer from the contest we held at Icarus and other ones. So,
I appreciate it.
as I said, all of your, some great home brewers, and actually we met Mark from 42 Freeway, actually went back in the archives and found a podcast that we did right after you won that. It was a South Jersey Beer Scene podcast.
Yes.
Did it in Towie Studios, our buddy Rob Towie, Jersey Beer Guys, and a girl. And a girl. Oh, that's, and we did it down there. Actually, Mike was on there. Mike Geller was there with us, and you were there, and we got to try some beers, and we had some turkey egg roll.
Yeah.
Something, yeah.
Was it after Thanksgiving?
That was right after Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
It was like leftover turkey egg. It was very
Fantastic.
good. So, Mark from 42 Freeway actually went back and listened to that podcast. Thank you so much,
You're
Mark.
welcome.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about 42 Freeway?
42 Freeway is about new things, and there's a lot of beer in there, a lot of restaurants. It also could be about a new Dollar General. It's that you're driving down the roadway and you see some construction going up. You see those trucks turning the dirt.
You should come to Barnegat because I think there's $15 Generals in Barnegat. No other stores, just $15 Generals.
Everybody wants the fancy stores, but yet then we all have the Amazon trucks pulling up to our house nonstop all day long. But it's the type of thing that people want to tell. Like, you're at the brewery. Like, oh, did you hear that they're building a new restaurant over here? And that's the type of stories that people get. And I've hit this sort of this niche of fanatical fans on Facebook who, when I put a post up there, they're commenting, they're sharing, and if it's a new restaurant, Amy saying, tagging Susie. fans. And it just kind of, the posts go a little viral, and it's been growing from there. But craft brewing has been a big, when I really started kicking into this, it's when Gloucester County really kicked it up a notch. Bone Salt, Core 3, Neck of the Woods, Axe and Arrow, Westville. Like there was a stretch of like 3 years where like all these breweries opened up in that area. And I was there at every one of them meeting all those wonderful people that were doing exactly what you're doing right now.
Cool.
Now let's, thank you so much, Mark. Really excellent. And again, 42 Flavor. And at the end, we'll let you talk, tell people where they can, subscribe or where they can catch all your information. Now, we have some delicious looking beers in front of you here. So, anyone in particular we should try first?
I think start that way.
Okay.
Left, because it's my left,
Okay.
but it's your right.
Okay.
Right.
So start from your right to left.
Okay.
We should start from our left to right.
All right.
You mix yours all up.
Yeah, it's just
Someone-
mixed up.
Yeah,
Someone
you
might
gotta-
have moved their glasses on.
Someone, it's fine.
Is that right?
We'll figure it out.
Here, this one
It's
is-
not
that's
that
your
big of a
first one
deal.
right there.
Just the order, it was, a bitter, which is a standard English ale.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy, and then it was supposed to flow into a light saison,
Mm-hmm.
and then we start to get into the sour beers. It's just that the sour beers might kind of roll over into the other beers just because they are so delicate. So, but beer's beer, so drink it in any order you want.
I'm down.
Now tell us about this beer. A lot of malty flavor in this.
Yeah.
A lot of maltiness.
So that's just the best bitter,
Mhm.
3.8%, simple recipe, golden promise, little crystal 45, and just a standard English ale. I'm really big into the light ABV beers right now, currently in life, because I have a lot of work to do, and I just can't drink a beer and call it a night.
Right.
So, low ABV beers, that's where I'm at, because I got stuff to do, Vic, so.
Yeah.
So 13% stouts are just not.
I mean, I'll brew them, they're just not for me most nights.
And,
Right.
and we will talk in the second half of the show. We're going to talk a little bit about your barrels because I had mentioned when I was on your site that you were into barrels before barrels were cool. Although barrels were always cool, but
Yeah.
and this is cool. Tell us about the logo. I love the logo on there. Who came up with that?
So it's simple, it's a W, a very artistic rendition of a W. This was a gentleman I had met out in Philadelphia, actually. His name's Tom Howley. And we had gone through a few iterations and settled on this logo. But really, it's all to his artistic vision. All I could do is give guidance. I myself am not artistic in the slightest. I can put together the picture, but someone has to actually execute it. And he was fantastic to work with.
There's an art to brewing beer, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much
So
so.
there-
And that's where your creative side is. Now, which beer should we try next? Let's get one more beer in before we take our break.
All right, I
Saison?
think, the Saison. It's the
Amen.
lighter.
That beautiful color.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice. Now tell, some of our viewers, a lot of them will know what a Saison is, but tell us a little bit about the beer itself.
So it's a bone dry beer from French, Belgian inspiration. It's generally called a farm style house, but there's a lot that goes on. Saison's probably the worst thing to do this with because there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions on what Saison is, what it shouldn't be, and there's a lot of room for interpretation. This extremely dry beer, I brewed it with a lot of nuance to it. So I did utilize a little bit of lime zest as well as rose hip, but it was never intended to be a lime zest or rose hip beer. So that's kind of where I wanted to take it with this. It's 4.5%, so still a beer when you got stuff to do afterward. And it's just refreshing, so you can have it on a nice hot day or, when it's 60 out.
I understand French too. I'd never heard of the French side of the Saison.
Yeah, actually one of the most popular yeast for homebrewers is actually called French Saison when they're doing the style.
Very nice. Okay, we are going to take a little bit of break. You're going to hear from our friends at BruYou, so we will be right back.
BruYou is the app to send and receive drinks. Buying a drink with BruYou is easy. First, select a recipient, choose the location, and then pick a drink from their menu and send it out. It's easy to stay connected with the people you care about with BruYou. Whether it's a birthday or promotion, or just because, sending a drink with BruYou is great for any occasion. When someone buys you a drink, you'll receive a notification with the details, and the drink will be stored in the app until you redeem it. When you're ready to redeem a drink, follow the prompts and show the bartender the confirmation screen. Once your drink is received, close it out on the app and say thanks. Then, cheers! You just received your first drink on BruYou. Available for download on the App Store and Google Play Store.
Okay, we are back here at Whims Brewing, or the future home of Whims Brewing. Yeah, well, it's Whims Brewing, but it's just not ready yet. Okay, I like the Purple Palace.
Thank you.
on
Thank you.
that.
Welcome.
Makes
Are
me
you a
think.
Prince fan?
I enjoy Prince. I wouldn't say I'm a Prince fan.
Okay, I didn't know if there was a correlation. Just
No. Like if you start asking Prince questions, I'm sweating bullets.
Now, before we get on to some other stuff that we're going to talk about. Now, why don't we get to the next beer here? Is this the one we should try next?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
tell us about it.
This is Autumn Akuma. This was a foeder aged sour beer. It's probably a little over a year at this point, and then I aged it with.
Yeah. Now explain what a foeder is.
So a foeder is essentially a barrel that's horizontal instead of laying vertically, and it's just really that surface contact that changes with the oxygen. But I added local grown New Jersey pears, some cinnamon and vanilla, and it's not as sour, so I kind of call it a tart ale.
This is tremendous.
yeah.
I love this. This
Yeah.
is great.
Thank you.
Very, very cool. Now, where do you keep? Like, do you have a food? Where do you have a foeder? Where is a
I was
foeder?
thinking,
Do you have it like in a trunk of you can't put a foeder in the trunk of your car.
So the neat thing about finally having a brewing space is that I'm going to get a house back.
Okay.
And with that comes a garage as well. So it's all dispersed between, the house and the garage.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty empty.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
So, I had mentioned that, we've had some of your terrific beers. Now, referencing the brewery itself, where the barrels go?
So they're going to go everywhere.
Okay.
They're going to go everywhere. As you can see, I'm going to start off pretty small. So I will have a lot of room to maneuver back there. I do have a storage area on the one side of the building that's also an office, and I kind of want to stack the barrels in front of the window. I thought that would be a cool little look
Okay.
as you walk up, and just have them over there as well. But they will be everywhere. And when they're here, you'll see them.
Now, maybe a lot of home brewers will be watching this show and saying, what's the best advice that you can tell a home brewer who wants to start doing a barrel age program?
Best advice. I'm sure all home brewers don't even need to be told this because, there's so much information, but just really read about it. And that's the cool thing about brewing, right? There's a million different ways to handle million different scenarios. And just do your research. There's plenty of places you can buy barrels online now, from 5-gallon to 15-gallon. And just see what you want to brew and put in a barrel and stick to it. And people that have been doing it much longer than I have can give you way better advice. Yeah, so.
This one is really, really nice. This is
Yeah.
a delicious beer.
Thank you.
I actually like this better than the guava
Yes.
that I had that you gave me
Yeah.
last year. You had given me one of those guavas. Very nice.
That's
one.
not a sour beer, though.
No.
That was only tart from the guava itself. Yeah.
That was a nice beer.
Thank you.
That was very nice too. But I love this. I can taste the vanilla and the pears and stuff in it.
Yeah, I love how it really came through.
How you like this one, Richard?
Oh, fantastic. I was going to say, what do you...
Looks like you like them.
Oh, yeah, it's gone. What do you think are some of the typical things you're going to see on handles when you open?
You're definitely going to see some saisons, sours, mixed culture. That's really what I love in brewing, so it's going to be present here. Also a fan of dark beer, so of course you'll have stouts. We were talking during the break, so
Yeah.
there will be an IPA or two, of course. And then some Belgians. I love yeast, and I love the flavors they can contribute, so that's what you'll see a lot here.
Nice.
Very good, very good. Now, one thing that I found is, being with the Ocean County homebrewers, that, working with fellow brewers, you learn from them, and even competing against them helps you get better at your particular craft. Now, I know that you participated, our friend Chris from Shoreside Brewing down in Ventnor,
Yes.
he sponsors like a invitational that some of you brewers take place in. So tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, so I believe it's called the Shoreside Invitational, and I think it's a stretch to call Chris a friend. So let's start there. But he had invited 12 home brewers throughout the state to participate in a competition. I believe it was quarterly, and just to brew beer, we had some BJCP judges judge it, and then we had guest judges at other breweries judge it as well. And it was 4 categories. I believe it was stout was the last one. Before that was lager. And then it may have been sour and saison. So we started it last year. I think he had talked about making it a yearly thing, but we all quickly decided not to do that because it is a lot. And it became terrible at a certain point, but it was a lot of fun.
I had some of those beers too, and they were really some great beers.
Yeah, everyone in that contest was phenomenal, not just homebrewers, but people as well. And you're actually going to see quite a few of them starting their own breweries, I believe, this year too.
That's great.
Yeah, all fantastic. And it's just great talking to those guys, just not about brewing, but, some great friendships came out of it.
I know I stopped by the one day that several of you were there, and Mike Randizzi, who's Orso Ales,
Yes.
he actually had an Uni pizza oven, which I kind of fell in love with, so then I wound up getting that for my birthday
Mike
a month or so later. He made some great pizza.
He's the man, and I secretly hope he doesn't open a brewery and opens a restaurant, because everything he has ever cooked has been a knockout. I will drive the hour and a half to eat at Mike Randizzi's house.
Have him rent one of the units next to you here.
That's it. See, he's not coming down this far, though, or I would have tried.
We actually saw a fire engine next door by the pizza place there.
There might be an opening.
When we pulled up,
You'll see it on 42 freeway tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
That does raise a question. When does a place, how quickly does a new place end up in a report from you?
I try to find it as early as possible. Sometimes it's tips from people. Some things, if it's a new building, there are public notices. If it's a new building, it's got to get approved, and we all jump on that, whether you're the carrier post or whatever. But I try to get tips.
Do you beat the opening, or do you always wait till they're open?
I typically beat the opening.
You beat the opening?
Yeah, I mean, so, I'll talk to the owners in some cases. There's a couple stories I know that, yeah, you can hold off on a little bit. I'm like, sure, I got enough to write about. I can hold off on that. But, things this is nothing to do with craft brew, but there's a new ShopRite supermarket coming to Camden County. They don't build supermarkets anymore, right? Walmart killed that. And I knew it was coming, but they put it in the employee newsletter. They didn't make an official announcement, so they handed out the employee newsletter, and I had like 5 people send me messages. Look what's in our employee newsletter. We're moving to a new supermarket. Well, okay, I'm going to write that, and I did, and it went, it exploded, just because people are so, you just don't get supermarkets. So.
Yeah.
I'm a little remiss. I didn't mention another homebrew contest that Dorian actually placed in, our South Jersey Beer Scene contest from last year. I think you got a couple of medals in that. Now, that was actually an AHA sanction, so I think you got, did you get a gold and a bronze? I think you got a gold in one category.
Yeah, I think I got a gold for the actual category. It was an alt beer, and I think I might have gotten a bronze for best of show.
You got a bronze for best in show, yeah,
Yeah.
because Eric had the gold for that, and Dennis from Ocean County, he got the silver, and then the bronze, and that's something. A little contest that we did at South Jersey Beer Scene during the during the pandemic, and we are planning to do one this spring. So stay tuned, and we'll give you some more of that information. Okay, we got one more beer left here before we go. So tell us about this one.
All right, so this one is Gremlin Revelry. It was a barrel I had gotten when I
Okay,
worked.
wait a minute. The name of the beer is Gremlin Revelry.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
All right, so Gremlin is tied to the fact that it's a mixed fermentation, so
Okay.
because they're persistent and sometimes unwanted in the brew house, depending on how you're using them, that's where the name Gremlin, I refer to them as Gremlin. And then Revelry was because the barrel I had gotten while working at Tom Foolery. So it was a play on that.
Okay.
They had gotten it from, I believe, Tomasello, that aged Pinot Noir in it, did a
Okay.
super saison.
Yeah.
So I did a golden sour in that, and then I racked that on top of fresh Pinot Noir grapes.
It has like a very wine-like quality.
Yes.
Which is, I tell Bill all the time, when I first got into beer, which was only 2016,
Yeah.
the first beers I got into were sours, because before that I was into wine. I thought sours drink like wine.
Yes.
You know, they had that kind of complexity and that kind of thing.
Yes.
For me, if it was a real backwards way of getting into beer, it was starting through, the opposite way, where everybody was drinking IPAs. I'm like, these things taste like grass. Oh, what the hell? But sours tasted delicious to me. They had all these complex flavors and all these, different notes that were so interesting.
It's cool how, and not just what people drank, but like what they eat or what they put on influences their tastes and what they enjoy. It is really neat to see how that's different per person. So,
Yeah.
That's cool. It makes sense to me, definitely.
Now, can I ask, what hops did you use with this?
They were aged hops. I probably couldn't tell you the name. I think it was like Delta, maybe like 5-year-old Delta, just in the boil. And it was a long boil. I didn't do anything crazy. It's just to kind of inhibit the acid to it, but really I wasn't worried about hops in this one.
Very nice.
But they're playing such a minimal role, I'm assuming, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, another question I want to ask, outside of the beer realm that we have. It's very quiet in here tonight because we're here doing a show. We're probably interrupting you from 1,000 hours of work that you have to do here. So now, instead of you leaving here at 12, you're probably going to be leaving here at 3 in the morning or so. What does it sound like when you're working in here? Like, what's the soundtrack? Do you have music on, or do you just like it quiet and serene?
We found out it's not Prince.
Yeah. Prince has played, and you remark that, oh my God, the purple paint, and Prince is playing Serendipitous, and it's like, no, that's the radio station where they play Prince. So, there's a lot. We do classic rock. I love rap, hip hop, a lot of lo-fi stuff. I can, depending on how focused I am, I will work in utter silence and speak to no one. So
Okay.
that does happen. But we also do jazz Sundays as a thing. I just love to
Nice.
listen to jazz music on Sundays.
Fantastic.
And we kind of kept that going through here while we work. And I do want to keep that when we're open. It's really nice to just relax on a Sunday and just listen to some jazz.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Last question.
Okay.
Last question.
Last question.
Desert Island album, since we're talking about music a little bit. What would be a Desert Island album that you would bring? Or artist, even?
Boy, that's tough, right?
That is rough. The first album I ever bought, it's not, I don't know what this says about me. Someone can read into this, definitely. Jay-Z's The Blueprint 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's probably what I take.
I go way back, so, the first album I bought was way before you were born.
That was probably on a form of media that they don't really make anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Although vinyl's coming back now, right? It's-
Vinyl's-
Vinyl is very popular, right,
Yeah.
Richard? Richard, you're the
Like
audio guy
last
here.
year, I think it was 13% of the market.
No way.
It's way above CDs.
Wow.
It's funny to me how it's almost a collector's item and you can flip vinyls for crazy amounts of money.
Oh,
these
yeah.
days.
You see what a new vinyl costs now?
No, what is it, like?
They're
25?
like $30.
Okay. I was close, 25.
Really, that much?
Oh, yeah.
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 Got a bunch of that. All right, we're going to start wrapping up here. My director is giving me the signal here. So Mark, tell us, 42 Freeway, where can people find you?
It's 42freeway.com. That's the easy thing. On Facebook, I have a really crazy fanatical fan base on the Facebook page with every post. They comment, they like, they share. So if you're on Facebook, check it out there. And I'm generally in the Camden, Gloucester County area, but I got some things happening this year. We're going to be taking it for more of South Jersey. So
Very cool.
Great. And Dorian, Whims Brewing.
Whims Brewing. You follow me on Facebook at Whims Brewing, Instagram Whims Brewing. Please be patient with me. I try to be responsive to all inquiries and questions, but I do have a lot on my plate. So, follow me. I'd love to see you here when we finally open.
Okay, great. And I'm Vic. We're going to wrap up here. South Jersey Beer Scene, southjerseybeerscene.com. Our Facebook page at South Jersey Beer Scene, also Instagram. Also, this will be on our YouTube channel, South Jersey Beer Scene, under Vic's Basement Brew. Okay, not Vic's Basement Podcast, because that's some different podcast. So Vic's Basement Brew, you can find this. You can also find out what other brewing type of shenanigans that I'm up to on that. But our YouTube channel, South Jersey Beer Scene, please make sure you check it out and subscribe. And Richard, anything else from you?
No.
Okay. Nothing else? And by the way, that song at the beginning, that was Three Noodle Stew. Did I get that right?
You got that right?
Three Noodle Stew.
Three Noodle Stew. We're making a record.
With this
it'll be out in the
this
summer,
gentleman
maybe?
is the drummer on that. So listen to that outrageous beat. That's my man Richard here. So with that, Dorian, thank you for having us here.
Thank you
Taking
for stopping
time
by.
away. Mark, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Everyone, cheers. Richard has empty glasses, so he liked the beer. So have a good night, everyone, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.